Shalom, brothers and sisters. This week we have officially started the book of Dvarim, and our first Torah portion also has the same name of the book, Dvarim. And an interesting fact that we have to know and understand before getting into the fifth and final book of the Torah is that Moses writes this book directly. He writes it himself and from his heart because God gives him permission to do so. And that's an important thing to understand because the first four books of the Torah, although written by Moses, were written by the divine spirit. So through the Lord, these books were written, and the Lord gives permission to Moses to, finish off the Torah with his own words. And he knows that, he's okay with giving Moses this ability because of how pure and connected and spiritual Moses was throughout his life to the Lord, and how his journey grew and he reached the full potential humankind can. He was a true man of God, a prophet of a high ranking with the Lord, and he is a prime example to all of us. And it's important that we understand that the first four books were written by the divine, right? And the last one was written by Moses, aka humankind, because this shows us, that completing the Torah, right, is showing us how humankind can partnership with the divine, can partnership with the Lord directly. And it's important for us to understand this concept. And we'll be reading throughout the book of Devarim, various different topics. Moses will be outlining, the importance for Israel to worship God and stay on God's path, right? Do not fall back into their old idolatry ways or into, any of these other gods, and to follow his commandments and fulfill them fully as he's been teaching them in the previous four books and throughout their journey throughout Israel. He's been connecting, to his people and communicating back to them the importance of God's word and what he tells his nation. And so we're going to see how he, outlines this importance to the nation of Israel. But he'll also be focusing on, right about before entering the land, how they should prepare and what they should focus on when they will be entering the new land. And Moses, throughout his whole life, throughout the whole Torah, we see how before writing this last book and finishing off with his last words, last examples, reinstating what happened before and adding commandments and finishing off, the Torah with a bang, with, just a great finishment. We see that throughout all five books, he is a prime example. And we see how at first, he was hesitant. He was like, God, no, you did not call me. I'm not meant to do this. And in our lives, oftentimes, we might be the same. We might realize that we have a calling in our lives. We have a mission to do, but we will step away from God. And we'll say, no, we are not meant to do that. That is not God calling us. But we see when, Moses continues upon his path with the Lord, pursues following his name, his words, what he's telling him, he grows, he frees the nation of Israel, right? Just like us in our lives, when we follow God's calling to us, we can free others from this world, from slavery that they are bound in this world. We could free them and show them the truth and show them the, life through God's word and through the, everything, the miracles that he has done to us through Messiah who died for us. We could show them that there is life outside of this world, right? We do not have to die in sin and die in hell. We can have everlasting life through Jesus Christ who died for us, through the Torah, and we have a foundation stone that we should follow and we should continue to pursue throughout our lives. So we have the ability to save people from slavery, from the slavery of this world and the wicked ways that they live in. And so Moses shows us that, right? And he continues, right? And he wanders with the land of Israel, and they're basically essentially lost for 40 years back and forth. And we see how, constantly the nation of Israel is rumbling against Moses, rumbling against God. We're going to die out here and all these things. Just like in our lives, God may have taken us up another step, but there's trials and tribulations we're going through in our lives, and we just start blaming God. Why don't we have this? Why don't we have this? Why don't we have this? And we see Moses' courageous characteristics and traits, right? And how he's always calling out to God and putting God first because he knows he'll know the way. And in our lives, it's important for us as we are traveling and, in this world that, obviously we will get lost, but God can guide us back onto the path. God can fix us. He can provide whatever we need. When we need manna, instead of rumbling, we ask for it and we will receive. When we need water, instead of rumbling about it, we will ask for it and we shall receive. And it's important for us, just looking throughout the Torah, throughout these, the first 4 books of the story of, everyone in the Bible, starting from the creation all the way to Moses, we really focus in on, because of we're finishing the Torah with his book, we're really focusing on his journey and Moses, and we could learn so much from how much he trusts God, how much he builds his connection with the people of Israel and God's nation. We see how God wants to at a certain point destroy his nation, and Moses has now stepped in to defend God's nation. And the reason is for that because he has changed so purely in heart throughout his journey and connection and relationship with the Lord that he protects his people. He says, no, God, you will not do that, and he will continue and pursue with, their rumbling and stuff because they will change. And we just learn a lot from his character, from his relationship with the Lord, and how pure we see he was throughout his life. And it's just a role model primarily for us to try to strive and achieve being like Moses, and understanding that his journey was not easy, but he always had the Lord first. And that's why he successfully came to fulfilling what he had to fulfill. He brought the land of Israel to the promised land. And then from there, they continue their journey, but we won't get into that. We just see and understand that, if we follow his characteristics, his traits in our life, then we also can fulfill and enter the promised land.